So what did Jesus mean when he said, "You are the salt of the earthland"? Matthew 5:13. Well, it really has to do with how we speak to others. Where Paul said, "Let your words always be in grace, having been spiced with salt." Salt makes things taste better. So when we speak to others, we want what we say to them to be received, leaving a good taste in the mouth, I guess you could say. We'll notice that the context Paul is speaking concerning the salt is towards those outside. So walking in wisdom, we walk in wisdom towards those outside. So those outside, of course, would be unfaithing. They certainly are not speaking having their words spiced with salt either, which now brings us back here again, because he said, if the salt becomes foolish, with what will it be salted? And when you see the word foolish here, think of the parable of the 10 virgins. They are locked out of the wedding feasts at midnight, Matthew 25:6-10, where then nobody has salt at that hour, because all who are received into the wedding feast were sober-minded, as salty ones, I guess we could say. So then this brings us to the finishing of the verse where he said, "For not one thing is it still strong." Strong would be contrasted with the weak. So the strong concludes at midnight, second watch time, and then the third watch timers are the weak in faith. So then we see to be downtrodden under the authority by human. Because when we enter the wedding feast as sober-minded, we are made spirits. Hebrews 1:7, Hebrews 1:14. We become officiating spirits, angels. Here in the parable of the sowing one, where the seed is the word of God, the word of the regency, excuse me, the seed that gets sown and is downtrodden falls beside the way. And beside the way is a third watch time key word. It pertains to those who will not come into the wedding feasts as sober-minded virgins, but be locked out as the foolish. According to the salt, that becomes foolish. And if you have the Devar software and search the phrase "beside the way" with the quote marks, you find exact hits where there's 10 of them. Okay, so again, a lot of these have to do with the parable of the sowing one, where notice here it says, every hearing one, hearing the word of the regency and not understanding it, the evil one comes and robs that having been sown in his heart. This is the seed having been sown beside the way, the seed that gets downtrodden. Those not understanding are blind. So here are 2 blind ones having seat beside the way, which their blindness is not just a physical manifestation of blindness, it's a mental blindness. It's not understanding. Here again in Mark 4:15, a parallel of Matthew's account, we see, "But these are those who are beside the way, whereto the word is sown," the word of the regency, the word of God, "and when as it were they hear it," so they're hearing it, "Satan comes straightway and robs the word that having been sown in their heart." This is the seed beside the way, which gets downtrodden under the authority by human. Yet here again is another blind and begging one, Mark 10:46, where in Luke's parallel account of the sowing of the seed, Luke 8:11, these beside the way are the hearing ones. Thereafter comes the diabolos and lifts away the word from their hearts, lest in that they are faithing they may be saved. This is telling, folks. The seed beside the way, the foolish salt, are not understanding the word. They're hearing it, but they're not understanding it, which this would indicate they are not faithing that they may be saved. Saved when? When the Lord comes and the door of the wedding feast opens up and they're locked out.